Welcome to Rebuilding Jamaica, the real estate recovery podcast, helping homeowners, renters, buyers, investors, communities, Jamaica navigate the post-Hurricane Melissa realities as it relates to real estate. I'm your host, Dr. Nevita Sutherland Vassian.
And I'm Fiona. Each week, we bring you clarity, expert advice, and guidance, telling you how to recover and rebuild from Hurricane Melissa.
This week, we will be tackling a very important and unfortunately often overlooked aspect of the recovery phase, your legal protection. After any natural disaster, legal issues can arise suddenly, unexpectedly, and they are often very expensive.
For this week, we will look at how to protect your property legally, how to avoid missteps, and just knowing your rights overall in situations like these, helping you to recover and rebuild faster. We are honored to introduce you today to our guest speaker, attorney Ms. Candy Stewart, managing partner at Juris Partners. She leads a team of 4 attorneys with over 20 years of legal experience. She specializes in corporate matters, estate planning, and property transactions. Her practice includes land acquisition, commercial and residential real estate sales, estate planning, and real estate development.
Now, Ms. Stewart is also highly proficient in navigating real estate contracts and leases, preparing mortgage documents as well as security documents, as well as applying for probates, grant of probates, as well as administrations. She also provides expert guidance and advice on how to navigate and remove restrictive covenants on your property by application to the Supreme Court.
Ms. Stewart, thank you so much for joining us, because this is the kind of information that Jamaica needs right now to help us rebuild and recover.
You're very welcome.
Well, let's get straight into it. And I'd like to start with what I call the first 48 hours. Now, of course, 48 hours have passed since Hurricane Melissa ravaged Jamaica. However, there are a lot of persons who are currently in recovery phase, and there are some persons who haven't started as yet. So, Candice, walk me through it. In the first 48 hours after any natural disaster, what should a homeowner do to legally protect his or herself?
2 things I would recommend. So before the hurricane or the disaster, you are always advised to put your documents in a waterproof container bag. So the first thing we're going to do is to find that bag container with your documents, ensure that you have all the legal documents. So we're gonna search for that. So provided all is well in terms of no injuries and so on. So we're looking for our documents themselves to find them.
Right.
And then secondly, you have to document the damage, take photographs, pictures, whatever damage that, the house sustained, and recommend that you document.
And it's important that there are always before and after photos, because most storms or hurricanes, we have ample time to prepare.
Yes.
So whenever if it's just a regular storm, we're not quite sure how it will evolve. Once there's a risk of threat of a disaster, it's always recommended to take pictures before and after.
Yes.
And I noticed you also said that to put the documents in the plastic bag.
Yes.
We're in a more modern age now. We have so much technology at our fingertips. We can always scan our documents. You can use your cell phone to scan your documents.
Absolutely.
If you want, you can get it verified before you scan it, so that in the event that these documents are destroyed, you have it stored electronically that you can reprint at any time and have available for the relevant authorities to review.
All right, so Candy, since we're on the topic of documents, you know that many persons would have lost documents or have damaged documents during the hurricane, such as their land titles, valuation reports, tax receipts, or even photographs. What's the current legal process for replacing these documents?
Okay, so the process is going to depend on the type of document. So some documents are more easily replaced than others. So if, as Navita said, we're in the digital age. So some documents you can reconstruct. You can photographs, certified copies. So some documents you can reconstruct. or you can, ask for a duplicate, copy that from the valuator or the, tax receipt, or so you can get duplicates. The title, on the other hand, that's a more complex situation. And replacing your house title will take, it's a process.
Okay.
And so you have to apply to the National Land Agency and, swear, on oath that, you lost it or it was damaged in this hurricane. And then you apply to replace it. It's advertised in the newspaper, and then after the advertisement runs, you can replace it because it's such an important document. The registrar of titles needs to ensure that you actually lost it or it was damaged, in the fashion that you say it was. And so that's a little more complicated. So the title, it's not, the photograph helps,
Right.
but you actually have to go through a process now to replace that title, and it takes a few weeks to be done.
Yes.
So
I just want to ask you how long these things take.
it could take maybe 2 to 3 months, just because it's a process. It has to be reviewed, because remember,
You have to ensure that
it's your title. It's authentic. It was damaged in the hurricane.
Because I'm sure most of us can attest to this. A lot of times when we go to these government agencies trying to replace an important document, it almost adds to the trauma of
Yes.
the trauma that you just went through.
Yes.
But as I said, as you said, I suppose it's one of probably the most important documents that you would have for your property.
Yes.
So it will take time in most instances, and I suppose at this time also, the relevant agencies may be overwhelmed
Absolutely.
with a lot of submitting
Yes,
applications,
I'm sure.
right? And it may also lengthen the time. So
Yes. Yeah.
we're gonna have to probably exercise a bit of patience
Yeah,
about what we would have
right. So
exercise.
exactly. So I can imagine. I mean, those parts of the island that were damaged, in Westmoreland, St.
Lots of
Elizabeth,
confusion, right?
the titles office will be inundated with those claims.
Right?
But if you do it correctly, as I say, you document the damage, say house was damaged,
Right.
and so on. It will take time, but it
can get done.
Yes.
Does it require you making a report to the police?
Sometimes, so in some instances that's helpful, because what they want to find out is that you're the owner, and your claim is legitimate, and not somebody else making a claim and taking advantage of the situation. So it may be helpful if you report it to say, my house, was damaged during the hurricane, so and there's a record of it. Yes.
Okay. And if you like to take photographs as much as I do, then you can ask your friends and your families to send you back some that I've sent to them. Yes.
But you see, the message I think is clearer than they know. If your documents are not in order, if they were not in order before, if they're not in order now is as good as a time as any to have them fixed, just in case there is the need to provide them for whatever reason in the future. Yes.
All right. So let's look at insurance, because this is so stressful for some people. Filing a claim can pose a lot of challenge and can be confusing sometimes. Notwithstanding the fact too that some persons would have signed that line without fully comprehending the magnitude of what they are signing up for. Candice, what's one of the biggest pitfalls that homeowners fall into when it comes to insurance?
So one of the biggest ones is really missing the claim deadline. So usually most insurance contracts will tell you that if you're making a claim, you need to do so within 30 days or 60 days. And so a lot of times persons make the claim outside of that time frame, and the claim can be denied. So really it's important, after the dust settles, and quickly to look at the insurance contract, make contact with the insurance company. Get the claim form, get the claim form.
And, sometimes it may not only be just submitting the document within the 30 days, because a simple email or a simple call to say, hey, this happened, I'm in the process of recovering, I would like to file an insurance claim, to have something in writing to alert the insurance company is good enough as a start.
Absolutely.
Because after any disaster, and a disaster as to the magnitude of Hurricane Melissa, I don't think the insurance of your house is going to be the forefront. You have to go to how you have no roof over your head, you have no for sleep. You're thinking about all these expenses and where you're going to get the money from. And then probably after the adrenaline has died down now, you're thinking, okay, what are my options to get back on my feet? And you're like, oh yes, I have the home insurance that I had to take out with my mortgage anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to apply for it. But by the time you look, 2 months gone.
Exactly.
And then now it again adds to the trauma of,
Right.
the devastation, the rebuilding. So sometimes all it takes is a phone call, and importantly, something documented, some paper trail, an email, a phone call with who you spoke to, and then you can take it from there.
Yes.
And the earlier you make the call, the faster you get the correct steps that you need to take now to file that claim or whatever it is that you need to.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. My next question for you that I want to delve into is with regards to renters and landlords, who is responsible for what?
So it is, generally speaking, have had a lease or a rental agreement. So most of them, will specify who is in charge of damage to the property. But the general rule is that any structural repair, structural damage is the landlord's responsibility. So, the roof has blown off, or half the roof has gone. You have cracks in the walls, foundation, shifted and things like that. It's really the landlord's responsibility. And in most cases, most leases specify, but even if you don't have a written lease and if it's just an oral agreement, generally speaking, it's really the landlord's responsibility to deal with those major big ticket items. And as a tenant, you really are securing your possessions, your personal items, your appliances, furniture, and so on. And so, if they get damaged in the hurricane, then that's your responsibility. You can't really expect the landlord to replace, your furniture, because the truth is, it's an act of God. It's nature. So it's really not the landlord that caused all this damage, but you certainly can call upon your landlord to say, well, these major things have happened, and I expect you to fix it. I mean, if the place is completely destroyed, then really the contract is at an end. So you might have to unfortunately find somewhere else. But if it's still intact, but there are major things to be done, then definitely look to the landlord, and then you will look to replace your personal items.
Yeah. All right. Still on the topic of the insurance companies. Some persons may have filed a claim already. They have been delays. Some of them have been flat out denied, perhaps. Or, as you mentioned, some of them may have been what we would have probably assumed would have been underpaid.
Yes.
In those instances, what legal rights do homeowners have?
Well, the thing is that if the insurance company, you're entitled to reasons for any decision the insurance company makes. So if you think the decision was made, you were underpaid, denied, etc., I would say the first thing is ask for the reasons. So ask the insurance company to put it in writing and say why your claim was denied. Because maybe there's a deficiency that you can cure. Perhaps you didn't submit all the photographs or the proof of the damage. So they're saying, well, I don't have any proof of the damage, so how can I settle the claim? So maybe something that you can address or adjust with the insurance company. So ask for reasons is the first thing. Secondly, appeal it. Sometimes the decision might have been made by one person in the department, but you can escalate it.
Right.
So appeal that decision. And thirdly, last resort, you could bring action against the insurance company if you really think it's a genuine, the genuinely denied your claim and you're entitled to more. Get your lawyer involved and bring a claim against the insurance company.
All right, guys, we have options.
All right. Secondly, is for those persons who want to access government support or loans and they don't have the proper documentation, how do they go about this? How do they secure these documentations quickly in order to access those?
Right. I think this is gonna bring in sharp focus, the need to get your affairs in order, your documents in order. A lot of time, especially with land and property, we've inherited it from our father, grandmother, and so we live there and we're quite fine, but we don't have anything to show. Or we know that was left in a will, but we don't have anything to show. So this really now brings into sharp focus that we need to, if you got it in a will, to get that will probated and get the title transferred in your name. If there's no title, it's just passed down, to, family, generation to generation. Because there's some properties in Jamaica, it's just, there's no title at all, no title exists. Now is the time to actually apply for the title. So get your things together, your proof together, get it surveyed. So some properties are not surveyed, so you have to get the surveys done. So really, now is the time, because when you're making a claim, you're getting government aid grants, you're gonna want to see who is the owner.
The owner, absolutely.
Right. So if you have a title and you can show like a certified copy, that will, that can be useful, in the beginning. But if there's no title, no evidence of you owning the land, then how is the government going to make the payout or give you the grant to help assist? So really now is the time that if there's no title, you get your title in order, get it surveyed, get your land title. If there was a will and you got it from your father, get that will probated and get the title transferred in your name. So now is the time that you really have to, these things become important.
But to get the title for the land, this is National Land Agency again, or
yes, but it's also a process, and that's a process. You have to get persons, declarations, and people know the property for 30 years. Know you can trace the history.
Yes.
So it is a process, which is why some people don't do it, because it is a process. It may be complicated.
So where do they start? They find the lawyer, and then the lawyer want them through, or they go to National Land Agency, and National Land Agency help them.
So it depends. Ideally, it's good to go to the lawyer, because the lawyer can tell the next steps in a more efficient way. The good thing also is that the government also has programs to help.
Oh, nice.
So depending on which parish, and I think those hardest hit, the government does have a program operating in those parishes to help persons under what they call land administration and management. So they have a program and across Jamaica too,
right,
where they can assist you to get the time to get surveyed, to get time.
So this is an ongoing.
It's an ongoing. That's going on for years, and I think it's going to be renewed now.
Yeah, the need is
going to be renewed, right? So the thing is, you can go to lawyers, because we can access it as well, and we can assist you. So you go to your lawyer and they can advise you, but you could also go to the Land Administration and Management Division, which is a part of government, part of National Land Agency, and they can guide you as well. Yeah. So the bottom line is we're forced now. We didn't want to do it before, but we have to get our things together. Have to get ourselves, get our lives together. And there are programs out there that can assist.
Can help. All right. So I'm happy you mentioned the thing about land being passed down, because now I want to touch on a topic that is as contentious as it is pervasive.
Yes.
Family land.
Yes.
So family land, incomplete paperwork, multiple owners.
Yes.
So after natural disaster and one of the magnitude as Hurricane Melissa, a lot of issues now come to the fore about who owns what, who is the true owner, all these things. So in the cases where there is contention or dispute about who is the true owner or who has rights to the majority of the land, etc. What are the options for these persons now who may claim stake in land that has been damaged?
So ideally, you want to get it done amicably, but for me, the first step now really would be to get a surveyor involved. So get lawyers or court, but we work hand in hand with land surveyors as well. And really, it is to demarcate the boundaries and so on. So we start with demarcating the boundaries of the properties, and then see if we can sort it out amicably. That's usually what we try to. Last resort is always going to, but ideally, you doing the boundaries, but also looking up if you can find the document. So that's why it's, storing your documents are important, because there might be some documents that you have that show, this is how it was to be divided. My father left this for the two of us, so I should go this side, you should get that side. So there might be the documents around and family who know the history. So again, now is the time. Really, this is gonna put everything in a tailspin.
It is.
But we can get it together and get it done so that the next time it happens, we are in a
we're
better
clear
position.
as who owns what it is.
Yes.
But I suppose at the end of the day, if it cannot be settled amicably, this is where
Yes.
your specialty lies.
Right.
And
right.
then you guys are supposed to try to find a solution.
Yes.
Right. So we know that after a natural disaster, usually some opportunities present themselves, but not all opportunities are coming from a good place.
Yes.
So we're going to see a lot of scams.
Yes.
We see that person who is pretending to help and not really helping. Somebody who wants to fast track their documents, or even land deals.
Yes.
Rent in areas that that's not the market price, but you're seeing it being advertised for that price, and you have to pay a fee to view or something from that angle. Legally, how can homeowners protect themselves from scams during this vulnerable period?
Well, now is the time we have to verify, check and verify more than ever.
Yeah.
Check and verify more.
But I don't mean to stop you.
Mm-hmm.
With the advent of AI,
Yes.
and the advent of social media, you really don't know what to believe
And what
not to believe in this time. Because it's not this scam thing is not something new, and it's always oftentimes the most vulnerable people, because they're so desperate that they will if it looks like a good deal, they just grasp at it, because I don't have anywhere to live. But you're offering me a one bedroom that's renting for $10,000. But by the time you look, 2 months later now, the rent gone up. 2 months later now, somebody come and say, what are you doing in my house?
Yes.
And I think it makes it so much difficult, because one, we have so much information at our fingertips. So much can be done with the information that is presented to us. And again, the artificial intelligence. So I would really love to hear what your advice is to these, to even us.
Yes. Well, the thing is that we as professionals, so in this industry, in this real estate industry, we will have to guard and secure and safeguard person too. So we have our role to play in the rebuilding and so on.
True.
So certainly, as realtors, as real estate agents, you're gonna have to double check. If a customer comes in and says, I want to rent this space, or I want you to put it on the market, you will have to check and verify definitely that the documents are in order. Lawyers will have to be doubly sure to check that the documents are in order. Don't rush to sign anything. Sometimes, you're desperate and so on, but if somebody's, rushing you and so on, I would say, wait, say, I'll allow you to be through over this contract. I want, don't rush to sign anything. So sometimes it means, yes, it's urgent, but it's important. So don't rush. Don't sign anything in blank. Somebody just comes and say, you need to sign something. Don't sign anything in blank.
Or somebody comes and know somebody, somebody.
Yes. Yeah. Right. I need to know, are you the owner? I can't show me proof that you're the owner. So it's not rushing. It's reviewing the documents properly, checking and verifying. Not signing anything in blank. That's really what you're gonna have to do at this time.
Right. If it's too good to be true, it's
usually
good to be true.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I've noticed on social media with regards to the rental scamming is that they advertise these luxurious property for average cost, and then when somebody reach out to them, how they scam them is that they tell them that they have to pay to view, and there is no way you should be paying to view a property.
Yes.
If it's too good to be true, leave it alone.
Yes.
All right, and still on the topic of frauds and scam, I've heard stories of some persons, evacuating their home or effecting repairs, and then by the time they reach back now, somebody else living in somebody else occupying their space.
Yes.
So in instances where there is unauthorized occupancy of a true homeowner's property, just walk us through briefly the legal rights they have to, evacuate that person and, get their life back on track.
So the thing is that, I mean, somebody unauthorized in the building is really a trespass.
Yes.
So first, you could report it, to the police
Yes, that's
and see if you can get assistance to remove it, because they really are unauthorized and they don't become there. Sometimes though, you may get a pushback and the police may or may not want to intervene, and it might say it's a civil matter. So your next step now is really, you go to your lawyer. You have to. I wouldn't encourage self-help.
Yeah.
In this situation, it's yours. I mean, it's really yours. But I'd really encourage self-help. So if the police is on to notify them that look, somebody's unauthorized house, and it's a trespass and they need to leave. And then secondly, you really just give them a notice. You go to your lawyer. Normally, what we do is give them notice. Say, okay, you need to leave immediately. Serve them a written notice to say leave. And if they don't, we basically go to court and ask court to remove them. So get an order for recovery of possession. So have the court do it. So the court cannot authorize this bailiff to actually go in and remove that person. So I know you want self-help, but that needs a lot of confrontation and
it may be messy.
Exactly.
Get physical.
So yeah, so really actually get your lawyer involved, get a notice out to the person, and then just take them to court and get that order. So the court can now get the bailiff to remove that person. But it's rough, but I would say follow those steps, because the self-help in this scenario
Out of 10.
yes. It's not gonna end well. And yes.
The only thing, I mean, I know this series or this episode is supposed to be about your legal protection. A lot of persons are gonna say, "Well, I can't afford lawyer, only for money, lawyer, expensive money." Is there something you would say to kind of dispel that fact, or even if it is that they will need, a reasonable amount of money, if they can't afford a lawyer, can they go to like a JP or what's the
Right. So the good thing about our system, lawyers are in the end sometimes you may think it's expensive, but if you do it on your own or try to take it into your account, it will cost you more. Right. Or exactly, and you still end up having to go to a lawyer. So two things I would say. We do have legal aid available.
Okay.
So there are legal aid clinics available. I mean, it's free, or you might have to pay. It's a small, minimal thing. So you can consider legal aid. And I know the legal aid council is trying to expand lawyers that sit and do legal aid and give legal aid. And the thing is that a lot of lawyers too, we actually, do outreach.
Okay.
And so, some lawyers will, maybe take on one or two cases. So the truth is, don't be disheartened. Don't think, that you can't afford it and so on. It may be a circumstance where we might do it at a reduced cost, given the circumstances, because it's very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what you do, you can do a consultation,
right?
Write it out, do a consultation,
and
then you take it from there. It might not be as expensive as you think, one, and then two, ultimately it may cost you more. In the end, it may cost you and be more expensive not to get legal advice, not to get a lawyer,
and
in
it
the
may take
end,
longer,
and it's gonna take longer, and you're not gonna get a result.
Mm.
So consider legal aid. And reach out and do a consultation, because you can consult, you get some advice, and then take it from there.
Not just what you can do. Are legal aid clinics in every parish?
I don't think they're in all parishes. In some parishes, I mean, you of course Kingston and St. Andrew is gonna be the center of it. But you might find in let's say Moby or St. James and so on. So that's the only drawback.
Okay.
But as I said, sometimes reach out to lawyers. We are public officers. We have a role to play, and we have a role to play in the recovery. So reach out, do the consultation, and then you take it from there.
Maybe. So thank you so much for being with us today. One last thing, if you could give Jamaica one essential piece of legal advice during this recovery period, what would that be?
My advice is well, document everything or get your documents in order.
One thing I
Yeah.
learned today.
Get
Yes.
documentation. Documentation is key. Get your documents.
Get
Get
your
your documents in.
Don't forget the soft copy, guys.
Yes. I'm gonna say that. I mean, soft copy.
Hard
You know,
copy.
yes, but
Email it to yourself.
Yes.
Email it to your friends.
yes, yeah. Get your documents in order. That's what we have learned from this.
I
this
think so.
process.
Yes. And there are several steps or options legally that you can take, whatever the issue is, to resolve whatever issue you may be
Yes.
having during this recovery period.
Yes.
The important thing is just to reach out, whether it to be the legal aid or you're a private individual, to get the process started, because you never know what obstacles you may face during the process, and you also want to do it in the most efficient way that is possible. So in closing, Candice, again, thank you so much for coming. Where can our viewers find you? Because right now, I'm sure your phone is not ringing from next week, because I'm sure it's a lot. There's so many Jamaicans that are going through it right now. And the aim of this podcast is to just make things a little easier. So where can they find you if you're needed?
Right. So they could reach out to my office. The number is 876-649-0113.
Okay.
You can email me. It's cstewart@jurispartners.legal.
Easy.
You can go to our website www.jurispartners.legal.
Easy.
Yeah, so reach out, and we're in the directory we're listed, so it's Juris Partners. So we're listed. So call us. Set up a consultation, and sometimes we can just give you a quick advice over the phone. Sometimes you just want to be pointed in a particular direction, because sometimes the government has agencies and bodies that can help you, but you don't know where to go. You don't know where to look.
start.
So we can, even if we can't help, can point you in the right direction.
Yes.
Okay.
And to our listeners, remember that rebuilding is not just about construction. It's also knowing your legal rights, being more informed to make better decisions, and be prepared when there's a next natural disaster.
Absolutely. And be sure to follow us for our next episode. We will be revealing what the next episode is in the coming week. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Just follow us. Just follow us. And until then, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Candice. It was an absolute pleasure having you. We are even the more informed after this discussion, and I hope the entire Jamaica will feel the same way. Thank you, guys. Walk good, and see you next week.